One of Donald Trump's recurring problems seems to be his employees. They know him best, but they constantly come out to condemn him. Last week, it was Michael Cohen. Tonight, former White House aide dishing the Trump administration's out of control. More in business, there's a former associate, Jack O'Donnell. He recalled the time Trump punched a hole in the ceiling, angry that it wasn't high enough. Well, Mr. O'Donnell joins me tonight, the former president of Trump's Plaza Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, a property that made a lot of money before ultimately going bankrupt. Critics say Trump left others holding the bag.
Atlantic City, I made a tremendous amount of money in Atlantic City. Atlantic City, you're using that. Hundreds of companies that I've opened have thrived. Atlantic City, you read about Atlantic City. I made a lot of money in Atlantic City. I mean, I made a lot of money.
You read about it. It just depends on how much you read about it. O'Donnell says it was short-term profitable, but long-term horrible with all kinds of problems. And after O'Donnell left, the casino did file for bankruptcy, closing in 2014. Now, to be fair, that is just one of Trump's Atlantic City properties. He was affiliated with a total of 4 there, and the company operating all of them went bankrupt multiple times. With me, as promised, is Jack O'Donnell, the author of Trump, the inside story of the real Donald Trump. Thanks for being here.
Great to be here, Ari. Thanks for having me.
You bet. What do you see in the Trump you know from business and bankruptcy in what is now the longest shutdown in history?
Well, he's negotiating very similar with today with what he did with his banks. He has a strategy, number one, which is see if you can get your opponent to negotiate against themselves. So say very little, and the little that you say would be no, no, no. And that's what he's doing first off. Because that negotiating 101, if you can get your opponent negotiating against themselves, constantly making offers, you're in a position of strength. The other thing that he tries to do is he becomes agreeable at some point because he's very good at the back-end negotiations. And what I mean by that is he makes deals sometimes that he has no intention to keep. And then after he reneges on his deal or he defaults on his notes, he then pits the lawsuit against the individual and they wind up settling.
Right, and it's easy, to your point, it's easy to agree on a price if you don't intend to ever pay for it. That would seem to be in this situation, him pinning the shutdown on the workers. Let them pay for it for however long. What do you think about his view of negotiating with Speaker Pelosi? Do you think anything about her bothers him?
Oh, I think it's very perplexing for Donald to have a woman sitting across the table on such a big, visible issue. I think it would be much easier. You think from your time working with him that he's specifically bothered by the fact that this is a woman in power? Oh, absolutely. He was very sensitive even to promotions of women within the organization. I promoted a woman to the first vice president of marketing in Atlantic City, and the position that she had replaced the individual was on the executive committee. So I just assumed that she was going to go on the executive committee. I put her on the executive committee, and he almost had a heart attack. He was like, I have a woman on my executive committee, and it was troubling for him. So I've seen it firsthand, and of course today we've all witnessed his comments, his sexist and misogynist comments. So he hasn't changed, over the years, Ari, not at all.
Let me play for you what he said at the time. We always get all sides in here, and he's claimed that he wasn't really in debt the way people said, and that really, Forbes and these other groups were after him. Take a listen.
It says that you have a debt of about $3.2 billion and that you're losing money at the rate of $40 million a year. True?
Forbes has been after me for years, consistently after me. They took properties and devalued the properties. They say the Plaza Hotel's not worth what everybody knows it's worth. It's a total hatchet job.
What do you view as the lessons for the Congress, either party, and folks watching this shutdown and his behavior and figuring out, well, okay, what's the solution?
Well, listen, the solution here is to really negotiate, but Trump has a long history, particularly with debt, as you've just displayed, where it means nothing to him. And so this is complicated, and it's really two issues, but he has listen, my business was the most successful business that he had. we made over $100 million in free cash annually. And it should have been, his casino interests in Atlantic City should have been the greatest success story in the history of gaming. And yet, because of his reckless spending, he crushed that business. I think he's doing the same thing with our country. If you just look at the deficit spending and the debt load that he's continuing to pile on, and the workers are going to suffer from this. You know, he will take advantage of this opportunity, in my mind, because I don't think he's really believed in the infrastructure of the government for a long time.
But you think Speaker Pelosi, bottom line, can't fold on the hostage taking and the spending?
Well, I think she can't fold on this. I think she's got to stay tough with him, and just stick to her guns. Now, I think she should compromise to some extent, and I think she needs to start talking his language. I think if you start, because listen, Ari, you know this better than anybody, a perception is his reality, and if they can carve a way to get a perception that he's getting what he wants.
Give him some kind of off-ramp so that people, the workers, can get paid and the government can open.
Yeah, even through contingencies of some sort or performance issues in the future, but get these people paid, I think he will go for it. I think he will move if they start to talk his language a little bit.
We're out of time. My last question is, did he ever get Mexico to pay for any of the buildings you guys built?
No, I don't believe so.
No, I just wanted to check, because I know there's
thank you.
some confusion about that. Jack O'Donnell, thank you for your unique insights, having been there. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.